Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sideline Sato YouTube channel. My name is Sato, and we're here on the channel with a new series that I'm going to title TWIS, This Week in Sports. And I'm basically here to discuss a variety of sports, not just English Premier League football, not just football in general, football/soccer in that instance, but also kind of discuss some other sports that I follow and just some news in the general context of sports. So we're just going to get straight into it. If you like what you see, keep watching. But first order of business, Francis Ngannou, now former heavyweight champion of the UFC, has been released. His contract has been terminated. They didn't find a kind of point to extend with Francis. There's a lot of kind of conflicting reports as to whether or not this is about money. He's actually currently on a podcast discussing the parameters of the deal. And to my knowledge, it seems as if Francis Ngannou wasn't fully happy, I guess you could say, with all of the sort of extraneous measures that go into the contract. So not necessarily the money, but a point of contention that has stayed there with Francis Ngannou and with other fighters in the UFC for years is the fact that these fighters are classified as independent contractors. So they are not technically employees. Therefore, ergo, they don't receive any sort of medical insurance or coverage, only if you get injured in a fight or in the lead up to a fight. So without that, it kind of taints the whole experience for a lot of these fighters. And being that Francis is in his mid to late 30s now, it makes sense that he would want to take his talents elsewhere, as at this point, these people have families. They put their bodies on the line quite consistently. And even if Francis hadn't been maybe fighting as consistently as some of the top drawers in the UFC, there is a concern there naturally. I mean, hey, once again, Francis had a knee surgery about a year ago, maybe 10 months ago now. And there was the thought that the UFC was going to have him and Jon Jones fight for the title. But now that's kind of gone. It's no longer really going to be a thing. And Jon Jones is fighting, I believe his last name's Gain. Honestly, I think this contract negotiation is going to foretell the future prospects for a lot of these fighters. I think some of the older fighters are going to follow in Francis's footsteps. And I think it's an interesting story to see develop, especially considering that Francis Ngannou is rumored to be going to the PFL, which is the boxing league that Jake Paul's fighting in. So that might bring some notoriety to it. We'll see. We'll see if he even follows through with that. I know there was some contentious debate regarding potentially Francis boxing while being a UFC fighter, and the UFC was like, oh, no, we're not doing that. But once again, this is about fighter livelihood. I really doubt it was about the money, because the UFC has enough money to effectively keep who they want. And Francis seemed like he wanted some more kind of guarantees to himself, at least, in the sense of, he wanted some more guaranteed medical coverage, some more health insurance. But the UFC put their foot down and said no. So it's a real shame, but it is what it is. On from Francis Ngannou in the UFC, we are going to kind of sidetrack back into the world of footy, because this week there has been a lot of reports regarding the potential acquisitions of both Manchester United and Liverpool Football Club. I'm a Liverpool fan, and quite frankly, I don't know what to make of the reports. The rumors are coming out of Qatar, saying that apparently the Qatari sports investment firm are looking to invest in potentially either a minority stake or a full takeover of Liverpool, which kind of clashes with the sentiments of the city and the club. Liverpool as a club historically has been a socialist club. In recent years, obviously being owned by billionaires kind of has washed away that image a bit. But a lot of the people in the city of Liverpool still identify as socialists. That kind of is going to cause a clash, I think, of cultures primarily. But this week we did see president of PSG, Nasser El-Khelaïfi, meet with Mohamed Salah, Liverpool star, in London. The reports are now saying that it was just a lunch meeting amongst friends and that they're good friends off the pitch. But I don't really give much credence to that. There are a lot of conflicting reports on that. Manchester United also came out and opened a storefront in a specific part of England where there are often big tech companies or other sort of firms that are looking to be bought out, and they'll kind of open a storefront and kind of, present their potential acquisition towards potential suitors. And apparently this is the first time a football club's done it. Doesn't shock me that Manchester United is doing it. I mean, they are, commercially speaking, the most lucrative club in the world, even though I hate their guts. But both of these clubs getting potentially bought out by Middle East investors is going to be interesting, considering the fact that a lot of Middle East investment has come into the Premier League. And ultimately, with the way that even Chelsea has been spending this year, we're seeing that the amount of money being poured into the Premier League is, quite frankly, unsustainable. So it makes sense that these countries would come in and invest effectively. How do I feel about it? I'm very conflicted. Obviously, Liverpool's aging. They need a lot of investment. The amount of money needed for that investment will be in the hundreds and hundreds of millions. But does it matter if the potential investors that are coming in have a kind of blotchy past, so to speak, and there's a lot of contentiousness amongst fans. I've seen fans online even say, hey, if this goes through, I'm just going to have to find a club in the lower leagues to support. It's honestly kind of indicative of the general dismay that has taken over the world of football / soccer in terms of the amount of money that's thrown around, the investments, the general capital needed to maintain these clubs and continue to invest in these clubs to remain competitive. So we'll see what happens with that. I think it'll be a story that we talk about on this channel quite a bit more as it progresses. But as for right now, I don't know. It's honestly very alarming to me, but it is no shocker with the amount of kind of price tags going around in the world of footy. But on from footy into the NFL. And yes, the NFL is currently undergoing the playoffs. I'll be quite frank with all of my viewers. I don't watch that much American football. I really don't watch a lot of NFL games. I'll watch some Bills games. I'll give you that. I'll watch some Bills games here and there. But unfortunately, I'm not the most knowledgeable. But an area I would like to focus on is the fact that Tom Brady has been dumped out by the Dallas Cowboys in the wild card round. Kind of crazy. Probably not too shocking for a lot of NFL fans that this happened. I mean, Brady is aging. He's clearly, it seems, past his prime, but that happens when you kind of stay in a sport for a certain amount of time. I'm a poet, I don't even know it. But it seems like, now with what's going on, Dallas Cowboys have gone through, the Bills have gone through, the Bengals have gone through, the Chiefs have gone through. I'll keep my viewers posted on my thoughts on it. The Buffalo Bills game was the one I paid the most attention to this past weekend. And quite honestly, it was kind of alarming. I mean, they're really the only team I kind of root for in the NFL. So seeing them really almost fumble the bag against the Miami Dolphins, who had their third string quarterback out there, not too promising. But on from the NFL, and we're going into the world of Formula One, where Max Verstappen is pissed. Mad Max in full swing because he was participating in the Le Mans 24-hour virtual race, and he got disconnected again. And he actually left a Discord message, which I'll overlay on the screen here, which basically said that he's never going to compete in it again. And I mean, hey, he doesn't need to, but I think that Max, in this message, if you read into it, kind of shows his dismay with the general lack of organization by Le Mans for this race. He seemed very discouraged by the fact that he was consistently disconnected and that there's these weird rules that go on, and he believed that it was detrimental to the overall growth of racing as an esport. And I mean, hey, those are kind of the standard things you need to have a functional esports organization. And if you're not going to be able to effectively deliver on that, and you have one of the biggest names in racing right now, if not the biggest, kind of come out and say, hey, this just isn't for me, this isn't how this should be run, it's a disgrace. What does that tell you about the overall longevity of the virtual Le Mans race? I personally don't know. I think probably a little concerning if you are a fan of that kind of stuff. The F1 season's all but wrapped up. Max is about to win, more or less, and I'm pretty sure it's restarting. I haven't really been following too much F1 recently. Turn of the year has been kind of crazy for all kind of sports and everything in general, but I do think that this is kind of a bigger microcosm of these kind of organizers being not really up to speed with what needs to be done. I saw that their IP was apparently leaked and made public, which didn't really help, and a lot of people are trying to connect to the event and actually participate alongside Max, like just random people, Max and the other racers, that is. So these random people would basically try to connect to that IP, and that isn't all that ensuring, I guess. It wouldn't be for me if I was Max Verstappen. I mean, you're just kind of wasting your time at that point if you continuously get disconnected and yada yada. But we're going to end this week's This Week in Sports with my thoughts on the NBA. Yesterday, the Rockets and Lakers faced, and Jabari Smith Jr. told LeBron James, "You played against my dad." And LeBron was like, "What? No way." And Jabari Smith Jr. was like, "Yeah, Sacramento Kings, your rookie year." And kind of crazy, but that kind of shows you the longevity of LeBron James. He has been very, very consistently great. Comes to nobody's surprise, me saying the obvious. But I saw a stat today on Reddit, which basically said LeBron James has scored effectively 1,000 points for every year he's been alive, which is crazy. That's just absolutely insane. He's going for Kareem's record. And I mean, hey, you just gotta kind of applaud it. And in terms of the NBA MVP race, we have the likes of Nikola Jokic. Seems like he's kind of the general consensus favorite, but at the same time, you have the likes of Jason Tatum, who just dropped 51 on the Hornets. Very impressive. KD is out injured still, probably for another few weeks, maybe a month. We'll see. He'll be healthy for the playoffs, if all goes well, it seems. But as for right now, the Nuggets are first in the West, Celtics are first in the East. The NBA has been, quite honestly, super entertaining. We have a lot of teams doing well right now. I mean, the Jazz are impressing, the Kings and the Beam team are impressing. The Mavericks look good with Luka, but not good with anybody else. I mean, there's a lot to get into, but ultimately, I'd say with the NBA, with what's going on, this has been one of the most, I guess, even seasons I've watched in a while. There's a lot of parity, it seems like, along the league. And even Giannis. I mean, Giannis has been dominant for years. And I'm not saying he's waning or anything. But recently, within the last month, Giannis had been kind of unable to put more than 10 points on the board at 3 separate occasions. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, that has been This Week in Sports. I'm going to try to keep these videos shorter and just kind of quick and to the point. But if you guys like what you see, please like, subscribe, comment, share. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know how I can improve. But ultimately, I'm going to try to be more consistent on this channel. And if you're wondering why I have sunglasses on, it's because I have these lights in front of me. They're quite honestly blinding. I'm actually sweating under these lights. They're very, very bright. So I just figured, it might add a little more pizzazz to the channel if I'm wearing some shades maybe. It also helps me to kind of look towards the camera. But right now I'm burning up, so I'm going to cut the video. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy. See you next week or sooner. Bye.